Hi, my name's Laziri, and today I wanted to talk about a really fun interaction between Culling Strike and any kind of overkill damage from Trample Toe. After asking around on Reddit and some Twitch chats about how this interaction works, I got a wide range of responses. Some people said that it should have counter synergy. Some people said it's bugged and causes integer limit damage to spill over and kill the entire screen. Some people also said it's working completely as intended, even if they couldn't explain how it works. So I decided to figure out how and why this interaction works at all. I'll be showcasing some uses, what I found, and some interesting interactions that can influence build direction. For me personally, this interaction has already determined what I'm going to be league starting in 0.5, because of how much I love it. First of all, what is Culling Strike? Culling Strike kills normal, magic, rare, and unique enemies when they hit a specific threshold that can be scaled by various means. For instance, the unique Covert Hood. The main thing to pay attention to in order to understand how this interaction chains in the last line, these thresholds are checked before the damage of the hit is applied. This is very important because it informs how the damage of our hit is actually taken into account. Secondly, what's Trample Toe? Trample Toe is a unique pair of boots that cause your overkill damage to carry over to the next target. The only line we really care about is that you deal 30, or in this case 35%, because of corruption, of overkill damage to enemies within a 2-meter radius of the enemy killed. There's a few nuances to this unique boot that I absolutely love, and this is the entire reason for this video in the first place. First of all, the range of the overkill damage can and will scale with area of effect nodes. Not AoE of attacks or spells, but specifically global area of effect. This means that Abyssal Lich can scale this range of overkill to the moon with AoE stacking using Arsonists. For other characters, it's kind of hard to scale AoE with everything else you'd want, but that's in line with how sick AoE stacking is on Abyssal Lich. Now that we know the requirements for the interaction, what exactly is happening? It's similar to the Herald of Ice armor break chains, but first let's go over what happens using Trample Toe without Cull. For the sake of simplicity, let's say every enemy in this pack has 20 health, and we hit the first enemy for 100 physical damage. We're not taking resistances or mitigation into account here, just using true values to make the interaction easier to understand. So a 100 damage hit on a 20 health target gives us 80 points of overkill damage. Trample Toe then splashes 30% of that overkill damage to nearby enemies. 80 multiplied by 0.3 gives us 24 splash damage. Now we repeat the process. The second enemy has 20 health and takes 24 damage from the splash. That leaves us with only 4 overkill damage this time. 4 multiplied by 0.3 gives us roughly 1 damage splashing onto the third target, which fails to kill it. So under normal circumstances, overkill damage rapidly loses value with each chain. Now if we introduce Cull into the equation, a lot changes. First, you hit an enemy and cull them. The cull happens first because your damage is high enough to cull them. Then it takes your entire hit damage because the hit is only applied after your cull is finished. Then Trample Toe uses 30 or 35% depending on corruption of your true damage as splash overkill to the enemies around the target. And the Trample Toe overkill inherits Cull, causing the splash explosions to repeat this interaction of culling first, then calculating the initial damage, then splashing the same percentage of the first initial hit each time. Because the AoE explosion is inherent in Cull, and the hit is always calculated after, the splash doesn't lose damage each time because we're always using the initial hit value to calculate the overkill damage. For melee characters, you need some way to get Culling Strike. For instance, the Deathblow unique gauntlets to make everything you use Cull, or using a spell like Reap, or a specific weapon like Frost Breath. While the endgame viability for this mace is pretty much nothing right now, in 0.5 we are getting the new low-level unique upgrade system with expeditions, so this could actually become usable in endgame for an interesting freeze build. Some other ways to get Cull are from specific ascendancies. Witch Hunter has a node that's just Culling Strike. And interestingly enough, Oracle has a node specifically for bow culling using the Unseen Path node. This interaction is really fun and powerful for clearing and mapping. I'm personally a breach enjoyer, and exploding multiple screens at a time with a single hit really feels like peak PoE gameplay. Next, I'll be showcasing 3 different characters using different ascendancies using this cult tech for clearing. The first will be an Abyssal Lich, the next will be a bow Oracle, and lastly, a melee Amazon. Something else I want to touch on is the cons to forcing this interaction into builds. For spellcasters, specifically Reap staff users, there's basically zero cons. You just use the Reap skill staff and the Trample Toe boots, and it works out of the box. For melee users, it's kind of rough because you either need to be a specific ascendancy like Witch Hunter, or give up your glove slots to gain Culling Strike on your attacks, which makes hitting resistances harder and means you lose potentially +2 to melee skills, flat damage, leech, or anything else that armor slot could provide. For bows, Oracle makes it work out of the box, besides weird pathing. This interaction does basically nothing for bossing, so you'll need something else in your kit to solve that problem. The entire reason for this video is because I plan on making a martial artist hollow palm monk next league. The new Horror's Flight Gloves skill provides scaling area of effect and scaling cull, which is perfect for what we already need from the glove slot to make this interaction work for melee. Then all we need is a Trample Toe, and the build should work out of the box. What's nice is because the new martial artist ascendancy has the tattoos and runes mechanic, it should be significantly easier to hit our resistances, which would have been an annoying problem for any other character. Lastly, as a final note, I wanted to wait for the 0.5 patch notes to see if this gets nerfed before making a final decision on whether I wanted to play Hollow Palm Martial Artist Monk this league. But the opposite actually happened. This interaction has actually been buffed for 0.5, with the only thing changing being that normal monsters can now be called at 35% health rather than 30% health. Thanks if you decided to stay until this point in the video. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, let me know. Later.